So I am one of those people that is completely reliant upon my calendar. I don't even know where I'm going to be next week without looking at it. So years ago, I was in the airport in Atlanta waiting for my connection, and I reached into my briefcase and I realized that my paper calendar, the book that I covered, the at a glance book that I used to carry with me, was missing. And I knew exactly where it was. I left it in the seat back on my last flight. So I sprinted back to the gate where I came in, and lo and behold, when I get there, the plane is leaving. Now, you can imagine how this ended. I talked to the flight attendant, did what I could do, and the only thing I could equate it to in terms of loss was leaving my daughter's favorite stuffed bear at Disneyland. The difference is, despite the fact that my daughter cried herself to sleep for 3 nights, Disney sent the bear back. That ended well. My calendar, unfortunately, I never saw again. And the challenges I had after that were just an absolute nightmare. I, to that point, had never missed an appointment in my life. I can't tell you how many appointments I missed as a result of losing the calendar, but it was probably over a dozen. It was terrible. It was a horrible experience, and I said to myself, this will never, ever happen again. And that's the point where I started to look for electronic alternatives. And this was before the advent of smartphones. So the best thing I could find was a Nokia phone. This thing was a brick. It was like a clamshell. It would open up. It had a keyboard on it. It had a calendar program built into it, and I could back it up. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it worked, and I knew that I wasn't going to lose it ever again. So that worked for a year or two, and then things started to evolve. And today it's much different. Now you have smartphones, and smartphones will completely change the game. Because now you don't even have to worry about backing things up anymore. They sync automatically over the cloud. So even a few years back, you had to connect it through a wire to your computer, or you had to do something with your iPad. Now it's all automatic. It goes up through the cloud. It syncs across multiple devices, and it's that simple. So now never again will you lose that information. So that's the first thing. But the other challenges that still come with digital format is the input. Input's tougher. It takes longer, putting in passwords, a little bit more time consuming. Sometimes it's harder to search things out if you're trying to find a date a few months in the future. It's not always that simple to do. And that's where paper is much easier. So how do we come up with a combination that works best, where we can have backup potential, but we can also have the ease of input and the ease of trying to find things quickly? And so the best solution I found is to sync your calendar on your smartphone with either GCal or with Outlook. And then take that calendar that you have on GCal or Outlook and print the month at a glance view. And do that for 3 or 4 months going forward. And then for me, I just carry that in my briefcase. So I know if I need a quick reference to where I'm going and what I need, it's there. I can keep it on my desk if my computer's not on. And it just makes things a lot easier. And if I need to input some information on a particular date or put an appointment in, I put it in, I handwrite it, and then I know I transfer it. And then I have it all together. So I've just found that is the best solution for combining everything. There's just no substitute for going digital. To have the reminders, to have the backups, to have the ease of knowing that wherever you are, as long as you have a smartphone with you, you can figure out exactly where you need to go from a calendar standpoint. Now, the only other point I want to make here, and it's something we all need to think about, is how are you using your calendar? So if you're the kind of person that has a bunch of things to do on a daily basis on your calendar, there's a chance you may not be using it the right way. And by the right way, I mean the calendar should be reserved for time-dependent tasks, appointments you have in the future, things like birthdays, things that you need to do, weeks in advance. Not those things that you want to do today. If for those things you need to do today or maybe tomorrow, that would be more of a to-do list. And the idea there is to separate those two things. It becomes much more efficient. And we're going to talk later about to-do lists and some good usages there, and also some electronic options in terms of to-do lists. But for now, just think about your calendar as that way of logging things that you need to do in the future. So the bottom line here is, if you can get yourself organized through some of the systems we're talking about, it's going to reduce your stress. It's going to make you more productive. And smartphones make that very, very easy. So just find that method that works best for you. Just be sure whatever you're doing is backed up. And if you're still using paper, it's time to take that leap of faith. Have a great week.